Hello there, my name's Donna Field and I'm from Because It Matters. And we've had some requests from some people lately asking about some information in regards to the My Time, Our Place framework in understanding what it's all about. So I'm going to share my screen and just quickly go through the actual document so that you actually have an understanding of what the document is and some of the expectations of it. But this will be quite a short video just to give you some understanding of what's going on. So I'm just going to share my screen for you so you can have a look at what I'm looking at. Okay, so this is the My Time, Our Place document. I'm going to just scroll down so you can see that it's the framework for school age care in Australia. And it goes straight onto the contents page, which has an introduction, talks about a vision for children's learning through play and leisure, talks about the principles, practice, and the outcomes for children. Now, the outcomes for children are in 5 sections. There's learning outcome 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. What a lot of people don't understand is that to actually ensure that you are following the My Time, Our Place framework, you need to incorporate the 3 elements. And the 3 elements are the principles, the practice, and the outcomes for children. So let's have a little look at that. It starts off talking about a new vision for Australia. So it says the Council of Australian Governments has developed My Time, Our Place framework for school age care in Australia. I'm just going to make this a little bit bigger in case some people can't see this well enough. It wants to ensure that all children have the best start in life to create a better future for themselves and for the nation. It talks about the framework has been designed for use by school age care educators working in partnership with children, their families, and the community, including schools. It represents Australia's first national framework for school age care to be used by school age educators and aims to extend and enrich children's wellbeing and development in school age care settings. Now, this vision is something that you should read all the way through and take your time to do that. Some of their visions for the children's learning through play and leisure with the My Time, Our Place is allowing children with educators to collaborate together to provide play and leisure opportunities that are meaningful to children and support their wellbeing, learning and development. Again, this vision is something that you need to read through. It gives you an understanding of what it is that is expected when you're going to be completing or using the My Time, Our Place framework. It will talk about what the high expectations are, which is part of your principles and practices. It wants to explain about the elements of the framework. And as I mentioned just before, there are 3 elements. So the framework puts children's wellbeing and learning at the core and comprises 3 interrelated elements: the principles, practices, and outcomes. And all 3 elements are fundamental to pedagogy and program decision making in school age care. A school age care program encompasses all the interactions, experiences, routines, and events, planned and unplanned, which occur in an environment designed to support well-being and foster children's learning and development. Now, it does go on and talk a little bit more about that, but this is, again, something that you need to read through. It's not a real big document. The total document is 46 pages, so it's not a lot that would take you a lot to read through. Now, it gives an understanding of what they're talking about with children's learning in school age care. So with school age care, we are talking about out of school hours care or before and after school care, whichever you want to use it, vacation care. School age children experience learning in a wide range of settings: family, school, and the community, including school age care settings, provide diverse opportunities for children to explore relationships and ideas and build competence and skills. The diversity in family and community life means that school-age children experience a belonging, being, and becoming in many different ways. They bring their diverse experiences, perspectives, expectations, knowledge, and skills to their learning. Again, please read through, because this is where it will actually explain to you a little bit about what we call developmental domains. Here where it's talking about the children's learning is dynamic, complex and holistic, that physical, social, emotional, personal, spiritual, creative, cognitive and linguistic aspects of learning are all intricately interwoven and interrelated. You can see it gives an example what pedagogy is. Talking about theories from children's development, and gives you explanations. But this is where we look at our 3 elements. So we have the 5 principles, we have 8 practices, and we have 5 learning outcomes. And we all need to be working towards all of them to help children have a sense of belonging, being, and becoming. So when we look at the principles, we can see that principle 1 is about secure, respectful, and reciprocal relationships. Again, you need to read through this to understand what that actually means. To have partnerships, partnerships with schools, partnerships with the children, families, each other. Having high expectations and equity, and that's for children, not just for high expectations for you as an educator. Respect for diversity and understanding what that respect means. And number 5 is ongoing learning and reflective practice. So even though you are a school aged care service and you don't have to do individual observations of children, you do need to evaluate the programs that you're planning using the My Time, Our Place. So have a look at this, and you would still be expected to do some critical reflections in regards to that. And this here provides some really engaging questions for you to think about this. It then moves to the practice. Okay, the principle of school-age care pedagogy underpin practice. Educators draw on a rich repertoire of pedagogical practices to promote children's learning by, and there's a list of things here. So let's look at the 8 different types of practice. We have holistic approaches, so looking at our roles and responsibilities. We then move on to collaboration with children and how we do that. So really making sure that we are actually enabling the children to have a say in what's going to be happening in their service. What do we mean when we talk about learning through play? Well, this will explain to you what it's talking about. And this is specific for school age care. The intentionality. It talks about your deliberate actions, being purposeful, being thoughtful, and engaging. You often might hear about intentional teaching. The environment, and making sure that they are welcoming spaces, but looking through what this actually talks to you about in regards to resources and things like that. Cultural competence. They're not expecting you to know the ins and outs of every single culture that there is, but there is an expectation that you should have an understanding of the cultures within the service that you're in and the community that you're in, and to start learning about those. It talks about continuity and transitions, so children who are moving from preschools and daycare centres and family daycare into school and into your service is a transition. That's them becoming someone, as an older child. They're moving from that early years learning into primary. It's also about children moving from the infants into the primary section, or the primary onto high school, or even the different transitions that happen within their home lives. But read through this, have a look at what it's talking about. And then we have the evaluation for wellbeing and learning. So this is where we gather knowledge about the children's wellbeing. This is where we watch what's involved and be included in their play if they need us to be there, and how we can plan effectively and collaboratively with children. Then once you've read that, you then come to outcomes. Now, I've seen in some services where people have printed off the document but only the 5 learning outcomes. And if that's all you're focusing on, then you're not understanding the full reasoning behind the My Time, Our Place. So the 5 outcomes are designed to capture the integrated and complex wellbeing, development and learning of all children. There are 5 outcomes. Children have a strong sense of identity. Children are connected with and contribute to their world. Children have a strong sense of well-being. Children are confident and involved learners. And children are effective communicators. Now, when we look at these, they have some similarities into our developmental domains. So having a strong sense of identity can lead to our emotional development. Children connecting with and contributing to their world can lead to their social development. Children having a strong sense of well-being can lead to their physical development. Children confident and involved is part of their cognitive development. And children as effective communicators is part of our language development. So we are completing these types of things as we go through helping children move through these learning outcomes. But please read the whole document. When you move on, it'll give you an overview of what the learning outcome is. And then the next page will actually show you which outcomes. Now, some people here, when they're documenting, would use things like outcome 1.1. Now, because it matters, refer not to do that, because we find that some people get confused between the learning outcomes and the national quality standards, because that's how they produce their standards and elements using 1.1 and 1.1.1. So because it matters, we actually suggest using 1A, B, C, and D. Then you know that when you're documenting things on your program, that you understand that you're referring to the learning outcomes. So we start with children feel safe, secure, and supported. Children develop their autonomy, interdependence, resilience, and sense of agency. Children develop knowledgeable and confident self-identities. Children learn to interact in relation to others with care, empathy, and respect. Now, the information we have on this page is for the first one. Children feel safe, secure, and supported. And then it gives you examples of what you might be seeing with the children. And they are just some examples. As it says here, add your own examples from your context. But these are examples of what you will see in regards to children feeling safe, secure, and supported. And if you're not sure what you should be doing to do that, then have a look at the other side. On the right-hand side, it says educators facilitate this. For example, when they spend time interacting and conversing with children, listening and responding sensitively as they express their ideas and needs. So use this to guide you in understanding of how you can promote these learning outcomes. Now we're moving to what I would say is 1B, children develop their autonomy. It talks about here what you might see with the children and what, for example, you might be doing. This would be 1C. Once again, this is the evidence for what you might see with the children, and these might be what educators are doing. And 1D, children learn to interact in relation to others with care, empathy, and respect. Again, on the left-hand side, what might be evident for children and what you might see with the educators. And then it moves through. So then you come to learning outcome 2, gives an example what they're talking about in regards to that, gives you the list. So we have 4 again. So this would be 2A, 2B, 2C, 2D. And again, you move through and you read what they have to say. Now, they don't all have 4 points. So when we move through and we go into learning outcome 3, we will see there's only 2. So this would be 3A and 3B. If we were doing our programming. So this is where we talk about physical well-being. So this is not just about your fine motor and gross motor, this is actually about your inner health and mental health and things like that as well. So it moves through those ones. We have learning outcome 4. We have A, B, C, and D again. Again, shows you what you might see with the children and what you could be doing. Let's move the learning outcome 4s and learning outcome 5. Children are effective communicators. Gives you an example of what this learning outcome is all about. And then we have A, B, and C, and it gives you examples. Now, when you move through this, there might be words that are a little bit confusing for you. So there's a glossary here and explains to you what each of these words mean that you may not be familiar with. So this is to help you understand what, in regards to the My Time, Our Place, what these glossary of terms are. And then you have the bibliography. So this is where you can find where the information for the My Time, Our Place was developed from. Some of you might like to Google these, so you can just copy the names of things like this. You can right click or do Control C for copy, and then go into a Google or whatever, Bing or whatever you use, and Control V and paste it in there and have a look at what that's all about. And that's the My Time, Our Place document. As I said, it's written quite well. I really enjoyed reading it, as well as reading the Early Years Learning Framework, because there are two frameworks. There's this one, which is for school-aged children, and we have the Early Years Learning Framework, which is for our children who are in preschool, long daycare, family daycare, who are up to 6 years of age. So these, for the Early Years Learning Framework, it's for children who haven't started school yet. And then the My Time, Our Place carries on from that document. So I hope that was nice and simple enough for you. And if you're needing any further information, then maybe you can get some more information in from our website. So I'm just going to stop sharing now and hope that was valuable for you. Thank you. Bye for now.